Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you happen to be listening to another episode of the Non-League of Nosh. And I am, of course, once again joined by my co-host Adam. How are you, sir?
Very good, thank you.
Evening. We only spoke yesterday, but how's your day been?
Oh, very relaxed. I haven't really done anything whatsoever. Cooked a bit of dinner, looked after the little one. Yeah, played in the garden for a bit. Things that you have to do, with a 3-year-old. Watch him sleep. Watch a bit of YouTube. It's been the perfect lazy day, to be honest. But
happy days. Well, I rediscovered that I actually have a PS2 at home. I completely forgot that we have that. So I've got that fitted up, and I'm going to be spending tomorrow hopefully playing Simpsons Hit and Run. So that's
what a game that is.
Yeah.
Last night, I'm sat here next to my little bookcase of games, and I found my Dreamcast is in the cupboard, and I'm tempted to get it out, but I think the memories are better than the reality.
Right. Well, maybe that'll probably be the same with Hit and Run, to be honest, but I'll find out tomorrow. But once again, we are not alone. I absolutely love the fact that we've just got guests, so many guests at the moment, just wanting to come on. And when we talked about getting guests onto the podcast, the first name that I said was Freya. We have to get her onto the podcast, and I'm delighted to say that we are joined by Freya, Needham Market Women's Manager. How are you this evening? You all right?
I'm fantastic, thanks. A bit like yourselves, a bit lost with all this kind of quarantine. Like I said earlier, I feel like we're kind of in that space between Christmas and New Year's where no one's got any idea what's going on. We don't know what day it is, and we're all kind of just ticking along, trying to do our best to keep sane. But no, I'm doing well, thanks.
Good. I asked Mick this last night. I'll ask you the same question. Obviously, you don't have to say what your particular job is or what company you work for, but are you in a position where you can work from home, or are you completely not possible? You've got to just find stuff to fill your day with, really?
I started off working from home, and it was going fine, but with what I do relies a lot on going out to locations with construction sites. So as soon as I run out of content to publish, it's kind of me done. So unfortunately now I am in a loop where I'm just waking up and going, what am I doing today? And
right.
I'm quite lucky that I fill myself with loads of football stuff, organising for next season as well. So that's what my days kind of consist of at the moment, but I'm not technically working at the moment. No.
Following you on Twitter, you do seem to be one of the busiest people in non-league football. There's always something that you're doing. So has that meant you've always got something that's now keeping you ticking over, maybe more so than some others? Now we can't do as much.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that I managed to do all this with a full-time job. It's kind of shocked me how much I actually do and how many late nights I have. I've actually been starting to get quite early nights because I'm having to do it all in the day, which is great. But I'm a busy person, and I like my mind being busy. I think if this all happened and I had nothing to do, I'd go mad. I don't like doing nothing at all, so it keeps me busy.
I can get that.
Fantastic stuff. So I thought we'd start off by doing some of the questions that we have been on the podcast. This has caused quite a debate as we've been doing, and we've found out from this that Adam's tea. I still can't remember the tea you like, Adam. Just remind me again. It's some random bizarre one.
Lapsang Souchong. We will have a guest that enjoys it, I swear.
I've never heard of that in my life.
No,
that's another guest that hasn't enjoyed it.
Bizarre taste. Bizarre taste.
I'll tell you a funny story about it. Right, when I go to work, and I work in London sometimes, I'll go in and I'll have a meeting, and I have to request that tea bag, because they don't put it out in the normal selection. But I know they have it. But the only floor that has it is the CEO's office, and I have to have it requested to be removed from his tea box so I can have one.
Oh my God, Adam! Jesus.
You feel special doing that, don't you?
I've never ever been told no though, but it's quite a funny thing to do.
It's absolutely mental. So, Freya, I'm going to ask you all the questions that we went through with Meg last night and see what your preferences are. So, I'm going to add in an extra one because I've decided on. I'm going to add in an extra option on this one: pub, club, or bar.
Pub for sure. Got to be a pub.
Because the bar scene can be quite a bit of a
Well,
a go-between. A lot of people do like that.
yeah, I get that. If the pub has live music, if it's got like a kind of a rock or indie band or something, I'm all over it. If it's a quiet pub where you're not allowed to be loud, then maybe a bar. Definitely not a club. I hate the fact that you've kind of got to go, what are you saying? I can't hear you. I don't like that. I'm a chattery person. I like talking. So a club for me isn't great unless I'm really, really drunk. So probably a pub.
You don't have to pay to get in either, do you, in a pub?
No, exactly. And it doesn't matter what you do because everyone's there to have a good time. You don't have to wear the correct footwear or,
Yes.
that stuff. I like wearing my Vans.
Well, Mick said the same thing, didn't he, last night, actually? He said he can't stand clubs. But, interesting. It's a pub. I like it. Chinese or Indian?
Definitely a Chinese. Anyone that knows me knows I'll pick Chinese and I'll have the exact same thing. It's very boring. It's probably the most British thing to have. But
do you know, I'm the same with Chinese. I will never, ever have something different.
No, I can't.
I love it.
Yeah.
What always baffles me is that me and my wife have exactly the same thing all the time, but every time she goes, right, go get the menu. It's like, what's the point of getting the menu out from the drawer? You know what you're having.
That's
There's
a British thing,
no
James.
point.
See, now I just go on my Just Eat app and I don't even need to put in what I'm having. It knows and it just goes reorder. I'm like, yep.
There's a point in my life where I walked into Greggs and they just sort of put the order on the counter for me, and I realised at that point I shouldn't shop in Greggs anymore for food.
Do you know what? They used to do the same with me at Costa.
Yeah, it's worrying, isn't it?
I was known as a toffee latte man behind the counter. That's when you know you've reached new lows. So I've stopped going there now. Tea or coffee?
Definitely tea, but I don't like normal tea. It's got to be green tea, peppermint tea, or chamomile tea.
That's just something from my work.
Nah, not a fan.
Normal tea. If I have normal tea and like I go somewhere and they don't have any herbal tea, I've got to have black tea, no milk, nothing, just black tea.
Oh God, you could have sparked off a massive debate in the comment section, but I'll leave you to fend that one off. Favorite biscuit to dunk? Now this Adam had only one answer last night. I was not impressed, I have to admit.
I heard about the biscuit debate last night. Mine, I feel like I feel embarrassed to say this.
No, go on.
It's got to be a plain rich tea biscuit.
Oh no.
That's terrible.
Shouldn't even count.
Oh, I love a rich tea. They're my absolute favourite. I don't know why.
Can you even like dunk a biscuit in chamomile tea?
Of course you can.
Oh, it just sounds like a weird mixture.
Just a little bit of a different acquired taste, but it's still dunking a tea.
I'd love to know your thoughts. My go-to at the moment, and I don't know why, is ginger nut biscuits.
I knew you were going to say that.
Has that? My dad's obsessed with them right now.
Yeah, I don't know why, but since it's lockdown, I got in about 5 packets, so I'm good to go. Like, for however long this is going to last for. But yeah,
for 3 days.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
the only time I've ever had a ginger nut biscuit is when I was sailing. I was getting my license to sail, and I was getting really seasick. I was slightly hungover as well, but the instructor just lobbed a packet of ginger nut biscuits and said they'll help. And that's the only time I've ever ate them, and they did help. To be fair, they help with seasickness.
The thing with like ginger nuts though, they're like bourbons. They're a bit elite in the fact that you get many biscuits in one packet.
And they are strong, so they do dunk well.
True.
So they've got many qualities. Instagram or Snapchat?
Oh, Instagram. I don't use Snapchat. I barely use Snapchat at all.
Yeah, I don't get people who do.
We need to change that question up. I think Snapchat's a bit too last year now.
You've got Instagram.
No, it's not. Instagram or, sorry?
Twitter. Ooh.
That would be divisive.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to make the amendment to the piece of paper now, actually. That is noted for future. Okay, then go on. Instagram or Twitter, seeing as you posed the question.
What do you guys both think for that one for me?
Or Twitter.
Yeah.
For me, Twitter. I think for you, Twitter as well.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Adam?
Yeah,
You're not
Twitter
into
all day
Instagram, are
long.
you, Adam?
No, like I don't think people really care that much about what I do. I'm too plain and boring, like to even worry about it. Like
That's
I
not
do
too
try
bad.
and I try and take photos of things, but then
I feel like I've got two different audiences for them though. Like the Twitter's mainly football and it's more sport orientated, whereas my Instagram is more pictures of me and my friends like going out. So it's more of a girly platform to my Twitter, which is very different.
Yeah.
you will know this quite well, James. But because of what I do as a job, like I work in banking, I feel very exposed on social media if I was to make any kind of mistake.
Yeah,
in
I
terms
haven't
of
worked
what
in
I
banking
posted.
for 10 years myself. You have to be so careful with what you
They're
post.
very strict on social media, and I feel like Twitter is just about okay.
It is a bit OTT in that industry. You mentioned about bands, possibly at a pub. Who is your favourite artist or band?
Oh God, I don't know actually. I
This
literally,
stumps everyone.
I'm someone that I have to be in the mood for music, not for music in general, but for different genres. I could wake up one day and be full on Drake or anyone like that, and then one day I won't wake up and it's going to be AC/DC or Metallica. I can literally change from one side of the spectrum to the other. Um, my all-time favorite, and probably will always hold a place in my heart, will be Green Day.
Yes, thank you. They are my favourite as well.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, them and My Chemical Romance. Like that was my childhood. So
No, I've grown up with them, so I reckon, yeah, Green Day all the way.
But there is something about the bands you grow up with, isn't there? Even when new music comes out, even now I still think, yeah, but they're still not as good as X or Y.
Oh, exactly.
Like they're the concerts I remember like sneaking out of school early to go and see when I was in sixth form and stuff like. So I'll always hold a special place for things like that.
no, but like when people say my generation, my music was better for this reason. The thing is with this lot, and this is going to make me sound really old, the problem with this music nowadays is that it's just remakes with a beat on it. There's no fresh music, in my opinion. Anyway, but we'll move on from that. Favorite TV program?
Oh, I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't have time.
Well, you do sound like a very busy, very busy person. So,
do you listen to more like radio and podcasts and stuff like that, or do you just not need that to concentrate?
I can't. Like working from home. As you can see, I'm like in our home office at the moment, and my mum's working from home, and she has to have the radio on, and I can't. Even though I'm not technically working and I'm doing all my blog writing and stuff, I can't do it, and it drives me insane. I have to have my like headphones on just for noise cancelling, so I don't hear like mum breathing. Any noise, I can't concentrate. So I can't even listen to like podcasts or music when I'm writing. It's got to be complete silence.
So I'm the opposite. Like at work, I've got a speaker, which I've got a Bluetooth speaker. So whenever I don't have someone in my office, I stick music on to help me go quicker.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I just can't. I love listening to music if I'm like editing photos and stuff, then I can listen to music. But if I'm writing, it's got to be dead silent. Otherwise, I start typing the lyrics and then all just go.
So no favorite TV program there.
I did watch The Stranger when I was poorly.
Yes.
That I really, really liked actually.
That was beyond weird. That was a really weird program. Favorite film?
Interstellar.
Yes, good shout.
Yeah, or Shutter Island, one of the two.
Haven't seen that one, but
Leonardo DiCaprio. You're kidding.
Shutter Island is good.
Struggling film in the world.
Adam, I'm guessing you've seen it then.
yeah, no, it's a good film. I haven't watched many films for a long time, but I have seen that. I'm more into box sets than films.
I really know. I do love like Shutter Island is one of those films that I've watched about 7 or 8 times and I still don't understand it.
I struggle with the whole thing of a full story being condensed into say like 90 minutes, 2 hours. I'd rather a story last pretty much 20 hours and just deal with it that way so I can understand it properly.
Cats or dogs?
I have 2 cats.
Yeah.
And I love them. They're my little babies. I do like dogs. an anti-dog person at all. But I think if I had a dog, it would never get walked because I wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to take it out with like so little time.
Great honesty.
Cats kind of just do what they want. You don't have to give them too much attention. So
that is very true. That is very true. Sky or BT?
BT, because they show women's football.
Good call. Good call. Other than football, favourite sport?
Netball. I used to play netball. I used to play at regional level for netball for Ipswich Ladies. So that has probably got to be my next top sport.
Good. But Sky do show netball, so there you go. Who do you support? Do you have a team?
Yes, I do. I really don't want any hate in the comments from saying this.
You don't have to if you don't want to. Because Mick, he didn't want to last night, but we kind of forced it out of him in the end. You can avoid it if you want.
I feel like a failure that if I don't answer all your questions. Liverpool.
I'm sorry, what was that? I think I heard it, but I'm not sure.
Oh dear.
You know, you never walk alone and all that.
Okay, right. Yeah, okay. They're
Moving on.
They have rescinded their decision to pay their furloughed staff now, so that's well done on that. Well done on that perspective, Liverpool. Favourite player growing up?
Oh, favourite player growing up has got to be Steven Gerrard.
I was going to say, if you don't say Steven Gerrard or Robbie Fowler, then something's
Yeah,
wrong.
no, Stevie G for me. When I was growing up, and like because I've played football like most of my life as well, I was always known as like the little Stevie G because I'd just shoot from distance. And that was just, I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't outskill players. I was never like great in that aspect technically, but if I got on the right side of my foot, I could shoot from distance. So
yeah.
Definitely got to be Stevie G.
Very nice. And the final one of these mini questions, the best player you've seen live?
Bethany England, without a doubt. She plays for Chelsea and she's absolutely insane. I think she's the most underrated female player there is to date.
There you go. I love that. Great answers in there. The Green Day one in particular was a highlight of mine. Although the T selection may, as I said, that may be cause for debate. But I'll let you guys in the comment section discuss that. I can't stand T personally, so that's probably going to be me hated on. But there we go. So let's move on to some of the main topics that we wanted to discuss with yourself. We came up with a bit of a list between myself and Adam. Now, we've talked on previous podcasts about the impact that the decision from the FA has had on the non-league scene from the men's perspective, but we haven't talked about the impact that it has had on the women's game, because obviously they were part of the decision made by the FA to say that the season is going to be scrapped as well. Now, from your perspective, in terms of manager of Needham Market, you were having a very good season and on course to win trophies galore again. So how are you feeling about the decision?
How's the team feel?
Yeah,
have you spoken to many, to many of the ladies, and what have they said about it? Do they agree?
Yeah, everyone's absolutely gutted. I mean, as you said, we were on track to have another incredible season, given it's our only second one together. The decision is disappointing, but it's out of our control. It's one of those things where it doesn't matter how much you tweet things or tweet the FA or put in. And I know they're having meetings to maybe rediscuss that option, but it's one of those things where everyone's just I think we're more frustrated, and it makes everyone a little bit disheartened because you put all that hard work in for, well, near enough 80% of the season. You get sponsorship in and you get players in, you strengthen the squad, you move up into a higher league. Like I've introduced two teams. I've got the reserve and the first team. Both of them were on track for very good results. I mean, the first team are currently third with one game in hand, and we could have still got promoted. The reserves were fifth, but they had 5 games in hand, and on points, like they were going to top the table as well. It's just disappointing, but it's one of those decisions which is out of our control, and I get why they did it. players' safety, and not even players, but management and spectators' health comes first. I think it's just disappointing, to be honest.
Is it a decision that you? I mean, you may or may not want to give your opinion on it, but is it a decision that you agree with overall? Because we've given our thoughts on it time and time again. We both are on the side of, well, I think Adam's more of it needs to be played, whereas I'm more of an opinion that it does, but we need to think about when is it going to be played rather than focusing so much on next season. Where do you kind of sit? Are you just, is it a decision you've kind of settled with now?
It's really tricky because you can have so many different mindsets. Like, I'm in a mindset that yes, we can, if this all blows over, obviously regarding in all this blows over in time, it might not, we might also be in quarantine by August or whenever, and then of course the season can't be played. But it's one of those things where if it all gets blown over by June, with the amount of games we all had left, why can't we play it? Why can't we just then have a month out and then go back to doing the 21-22 season? But then also you're on the verge of going, well, we've had so much time out, and although I know that all my girls are still doing their fitness training and they're still like kicking a ball around and stuff, but it's not the same as training as a team. So you're losing, even though you've had a couple of months out where we've not been training. Is that really fair to then jump straight back into technically the middle of the season again?
Yeah.
Games?
Because everyone would be in the same boat, do you think that argument would hold as valid if it was raised?
Yeah,
No?
yeah, and it probably would. And I can guarantee if the option fell on us and we had the choice to say yes, we want to play, or no, we don't. I think a lot of clubs would play it.
Yeah,
I really do, because everyone wants to get the season done, and it's not fair going, actually, all this hard work everyone's put in, all the sponsorship that have put money in for this season, well, we're just going to pretend like it didn't exist. It's a little bit like a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, it must be very frustrating considering how hard you have worked to get, as you said there, a reserve team in place as well. It's very difficult, especially from I think from what I've read anyway, from a women's perspective, to get the players that are committed to actually wanting to be involved in a league season. That must be an extra frustration as well for you.
It is. I mean, female players at county level are like gold dust, really.
Yeah.
At Needham, we've had the drive to get promoted in our first season, which we did. The drive this season was actually to get both our teams promoted, so we'd have both our first and reserve, both in the Eastern Region League, but one in Prem and then one in Division 1. That's obviously not possible now, and it's frustrating because it's one of those things where you say at the start of the season, so everyone's on the same page. I do it every year. We all know what the aims are for this club. You're here for a reason, and that reason is because we want to push both the teams up. And it's frustrating when the girls have worked so hard, they've trained so hard and worked together to reach the potential to be promoted, for all of it just to basically disappear at the click of your fingers. But that's the same with Town, with their promotion as well. They've worked extremely hard and they've done very well to reach the level they're at. And within a couple of games, they would have been promoted, and that's just been ripped out of them. Unfortunately,
a bit of a awkward question, just to follow on with that. Like, you speak about how it's like disheartening for the girls in particular. Do you think that this decision would cause footballers at the level, like male and female, potentially just to walk away at that point, dependent on where they are in their career, and just say, do you know what, I don't think it's worth carrying on?
At grassroots level, no, I don't. A lot of players, like a lot of my players and a lot of girls that I know and men, but are like county levels as well, the same steps, it's more about the passion and just the love of the game. I don't think anyone would be willing just to go, do you know what, I've had enough of this, I'm out, I don't want to play anymore. I don't think anyone would do that, no.
I think it's just important, like, just to gather some like opinion on that, because I could understand if someone was close to like retirement as such, them saying, do you know what, I had it with it all. But it's interesting to collect some information from people around the fact that what's the wider impact of what the FA's decision does on people's belief in the whole system. And if you think like the will of players is stronger, I think that's only a good thing for the game, and it does mean that the impact shouldn't be any deeper than it needs to be.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's frustrating, and I think a lot of people have looked at it as in to say, so the FA only really care about the professional leagues. Doesn't matter about grassroots, doesn't matter about non-league and all of that. When people look at it like that, yes, I think people would get frustrated and they'd start, well, hating on the FA, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It basically is them saying, well, actually, it doesn't matter about anything lower than, step 3. It doesn't matter about anything other than that.
Yeah.
Just make sure the professional leagues get finished, and then grassroots, well, you have to null and void. I think it is kind of like why is it one thing for another, but not for the others? It should all be, I think personally, it should all be everyone gets null and void, or we all finish.
Yeah,
but
I think that's where our frustrations have come from, haven't they, Adam? Where we can't understand why a decision has been made for the levels that it has, and yet the rest of the leagues are going, well, do you know what? Let's just give it a couple of weeks. Let's just wait. Yeah. Let's just find out what the latest advice is going to be. Let's find out where we are, and then we can make a decision from that. Again, I don't want to keep banging the drum with what I keep saying with it, but
I think FIFA's statement released today, which postpones all leagues indefinitely, could see it would give bigger leverage for it to be not quite as embarrassing to have to reverse any decision. So I think the coming few days are going to be interesting and will provide more content for us to discuss.
Well, now that the legal aspect of it has kicked in, that lawyers have now got involved, etc., that from an FA's perspective, I don't think they probably anticipated that happening. I don't think they would have thought that clubs would have had the mentality and the resources to go, do you know what, we're not accepting this. Let's actually band together for the good of the game to force something to be done. So who knows? We might see them maybe just say, well, actually, let's just wait and make a decision later on.
The FA do still remain quite bullish, though. It is documented that in the initial phone call that was had to be able to establish more of the facts, the FA did respond with the fact that if the legal team weren't presenting the argument that they currently are, and a different decision had been made for them, for example, points per game, the same legal team would have been there representing the people that got relegated based on a points per game finish.
Mm.
It's one of those decisions where I don't think you can please everyone.
You won't, will you?
No. So, I mean, if you were about to get relegated and they go, actually, we're going to null and void the season, you'd be jumping for joy, you'd be going, well, thank God for that. But if you're in a position where you're about to get promoted, you'll be fighting to get the season finished. I think it's really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, on this part, you may or may not want to answer this, but from a Needham's perspective and the new facilities that the club have got in place, the fantastic pitch and stand and all the things that have now come on board with that, have the club said anything to you, have given you any reassurances that things are still going to be happening? Because from a financial perspective, this is where we start worrying that the number of clubs that have already made a decision that they can't continue and have decided to either drop out of their leagues or fold altogether. Have Needham said anything to you in that respect, that you're going to be fine, we're going to be okay? Has anything been put in place, or is that not really? Has it been far too early in the discussion for that to happen? Really.
All I can say is that I'm confident that Needham will be fine.
Yeah. Good. Because we talked about it a couple of podcasts ago, didn't we, Adam? Where that was mentioned that them and a number of other clubs have recently got new facilities, and that was because we don't want to see any clubs from around this area be part of that, but you can kind of understand if it was.
It's a scary time for a lot of clubs, I think, and I think it's scary for clubs who maybe don't have the financial backing that the larger clubs do in Suffolk. So it is quite a scary thing, but I think with the footballing community, we're bound to be raising money and stuff as well to help.
Yeah, fantastic. So let's move on to the kind of things that you're involved in. Just reading your Twitter description alone of what of who you are: happy gaffer blog owner, Needham manager, Suffolk FA Female Leadership Academy, and part of the We Are campaign, which obviously is a movement that you founded. You mentioned it before. How do you find time to fit all of this in and your full-time job as well? It's incredible the amount of work you do.
I just don't sleep. No, I'm kidding. No, you've got to be extremely organised. As soon as I come home on a Monday from work, I know exactly what I'm going to be writing about Monday evening. I know exactly what I'm going to be writing about on Tuesday.
Wow.
On Wednesday, Thursdays are my days off because that's football training. So I'm usually at Needham from about 6 o'clock to about 11 o'clock at night. So that's my night off from writing. That's just totally football, and then starts up again. I'm basically writing every evening, other than Thursday and a Sunday, because I like to keep my Sundays kind of just of football and nothing else as well.
Yeah.
It is hard, and there are moments where, or there are days where I don't write for a couple of days purely because you get like the writer's block, and also you switch off from it all because you kind of get, it's all getting too much and you don't want to overload yourself. So I do have days or weeks where I do have a break. So it's not completely constant, but yeah, it's busy.
Doing that much stuff, do you ever get a case of the I just can't be bothered, as I like to call them, like where you just think about stuff and you're just like, just no, I just don't want to do it, and just do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and you're completely right. I get that sometimes as well, and I think that's why one of my latest tweets was, if you're wondering why I've not posted anything on the Happy Gaffer or We Are on Saturdays and Sundays, is because now I've got into the routine where I'm going to treat this kind of like a job as well. So I'll do all the writing Monday to Friday, and then on the weekend I try not to. If I've got loads of stuff going on, I'll do some stuff on a Saturday, but I won't publish anything. So I'm not working against a deadline. It's more, okay, I might do a little bit, an hour here and there, but I'm not actually having to publish anything at a deadline. So yes, I do get I can't be bothered, but that's why I then introduced not doing anything on a Saturday and Sunday, just to try and give myself a break as well. Otherwise, I think, yeah, I'd go nuts.
I think that's a decent tip for anyone that listens that wants to write a blog or anything. It's decent sound advice, to be honest. Like, keep the structure and also give yourself time. It's pretty invaluable.
So let's start with the Happy Gaffer blog. Where did the idea of that come from? Is it, and how long ago did it all start?
It originally began in, I would say, March last year, 2019, in March.
Yeah.
And it all kind of kicked off when Needham, it was our first season, and we were doing extremely well. We'd reached both finals, the cup final, the county cup final, and the league final. So everything was a little bit mad, and I was a bit like, woo, and everything was like all great. And it was actually, and I know Ben, our club photographer, he's going to absolutely love this. But the Happy Gaffer actually came from Ben saying happy players, happy management, and that's when something in my head just went, like, it just clinked and went, Happy Gaffer, had a ring to it, and I liked it. And I just thought, you know what, there's nothing online which actually shows female football at grassroots level. You've got blogs on the Women's Super League, you've got blogs doing like international football at professional level, but there's nothing that I saw or I could find that just focuses on the grassroots level of female football, because that's extremely different to professional football. It gets treated very different. That just the whole persona of it all and the feel of it is different to professional football. So I wanted to create the Happy Gaffer to give people at a local level, and obviously now it's gone nationally, which is brilliant, a bit more of an insight of what female football was like at the lower steps in the female football pyramid.
So how have you found writing for it? Has it been nice to get some of your kind of thoughts off your chest, so to speak, and just like to get your to get people's understanding of the game as well?
Yeah, it's not a blog like the actual Happy Gaffer blog part itself. I haven't written a post for that for a couple of weeks now. My last one was all about clubs being female friendly and why it's important that, for example, in a changing room, yes, we share changing rooms which are used by male players as well, but the use of sanitary bins, why aren't they in the changing rooms? Yes, they're not used by male players, obviously, but to make your club female friendly, it's the little things like that which you don't quite. You forget in a way. You just think, oh, it's just a changing room. It's just the toilets in the changing rooms.
Yeah, you wouldn't
No, and it's things like that which frustrate me. So I only really write blog posts for the Happy Gaffer if there's a subject that come up. I don't really like to write just random things.
Right.
For me, that has no meaning. And someone just writing about how my Sunday was or how the game went is like, well, read the very free press about the game. That's not what I want to portray. I want to portray actual subjects that people care about. So I like to some things.
I saw that blog post, and it struck a bit of a chord with me because it suddenly made me realise how much we promote and push the women's game at the moment, like more so than ever before. Like, it's far more accessible for people to go to, and like it's promoted far better. But when you think deeply behind that, there are so many things where the sport hasn't been adapted just from the men's point of view, just on those small things. And there is more work to be done to help players, etc., behind the scenes. And I did find that really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think clubs have still got a long way to go with being female friendly. They've got a lot better, especially this season with the clubs I've been at with Needham when we've travelled to different venues. Every club's got a lot better. Some are better than others, and some are still learning. But it can only get better. I think. I don't think it's going to get any worse now.
Yeah. And then we move on to the We Are movement. Absolutely incredible. Just for people who don't know much about the We Are campaign, what does it involve? What was the main objective of it? And again, what inspired you to start that?
So We Are is a digital campaign to encourage women into the game, both on and off the pitch. We have campaigns everywhere which are all about getting females involved in playing, but we've got nothing that showcases the amazing roles football has to offer off the pitch. Especially in women's football in general, I believe, and a lot of people believe, that we should have more females leading the path for female football. Of course, it's a male-oriented game. It originated from men playing, and I don't want to disregard the men and say, well, no men should be involved in female football, because that's not true at all. We learn off each other. I mean, my head coach with me for the female division at Needham is male, and I've learned a lot from him. So I don't want anyone to think that this is a campaign where I'm going like dissing all men and saying they shouldn't be involved. It's the fact that we need to try and encourage more females to get involved. So We Are focuses on a different job role each month, and I have people who participate in questionnaires and stuff, and they get on. I write a blog post about them, what they do, how they got involved, what their feelings are towards it, to try and make other people who may have played football or have daughters who play football and want to get involved, maybe they'll read it and go, actually, do you know what? I'm a physiotherapist. I've got my own clinic, so why don't I do that for a women's team on a Sunday? It's just things like that to try and encourage people to that side of football.
And has that campaign gone down quite well? Has it been a response that you weren't expecting, or?
Yeah, I think the biggest shock to me was when I actually got a message from South Africa women's manager, Lauren Duncan, who said, I want to be involved in the We Are, and I said, can I do a piece on We Are managers? Because obviously she manages the South African women's team, and she was like, yeah, and I think that to reach South Africa for one is insane. And for someone from the professional level who wants to back that campaign, and ever since she's been retweeting like articles and stuff, it's gone a lot better than I thought it would. And that's no disrespect to myself. It's more the fact that people are actually jumping on this. I've now got the backing also from the Suffolk FA Female Leadership Academy, which is basically made up of different individuals within the female game in Suffolk. We all meet every month just to discuss what's been going on, what's been going really well, what's not been going really well within the women's game in Suffolk, how we can improve things. But now I've got them on board on We Are as well. They're giving it an extra push, and they're also giving me more information, because there's subjects like I'm covering inclusive in November. That's not an area that I have a lot of expertise on, but there's 2 inclusive officers involved in the Female Leadership Academy, and them 2 will be leading the way for that month. So it's even better that I've got support from them, because now it's not just me in my mind going, whoa, what am I doing?
Yeah.
We've now got people involved who also specialise in those different areas. So we're all working together to push it. And I mean, the We Are campaign has seen more hits in the last, since it began in January, so that's 4 months, than my whole blog did in a year last year.
Wow.
So it's already like seen new heights, and I'm really thankful for the support that I've been having with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, with the We Are thing, I think what's really great is that you're trying to get people in and to talk about how they're getting involved in football in general. Certainly at non-league level, it's seen very much as a bit of an old man's game. It's the general impression.
Yeah.
And I at more clubs that I'm going to now, I'm seeing how women are involved and across multiple age groups. Even like you mentioned the physios, and I'm seeing more female physios and that being involved than I think I used to as well. Like there's different things that I'm seeing where it'd be good to hear from and see more of that, and see how easy and how accessible it is, but then also to see that transition into the women's game. One of the things I was quite disappointed with, and again in comment on this as you feel appropriate, but I came to the semi-final game that you played, and all of the officials were men, and I kind of thought like there's more and more female referees coming through, and I thought that was the perfect game to showcase like female officiating in, and some of the female officials in our area are absolutely incredible, but instead what we saw was someone who was essentially a centre circle referee, and and I'm not dissing the quality, but in terms of the way that he reffed the game, I just think that we could have showcased how much more there was to the game, because there is so much more being offered now, as we're not being gender specific within the community of football.
The 3 officials we had at our semi-final were fantastic. I thought they had a great game, but yes, I do agree perhaps they should have been females. Considering it was a female semi-final, it was quite big. Especially as the semi-final against Brett Vale and East Bergholt got cancelled, so there wasn't even female officials obviously taken away because they were being at their game.
And it was on a Sunday, it was a prime time to get people in.
Yeah, it's one of those things where yes, they may have tried to get female officials to come to that game, and they may have already been assigned games elsewhere. I'm not sure the logistics behind that, but yeah, I agree that probably would have been like the prime time to have some female officials. Yeah,
a big crowd at that game as well.
Yeah, there was, I don't want to get this wrong, over 350.
Yeah,
50.
That must have made you pretty proud.
To
see that, and to see again more people turning out and more people wanting to see what the women's game has got to offer, and what it's all about.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely brilliant, especially considering it was only a semi-final. Because obviously we had, when we played Town at Portman Road for the final, we had just shy of like 800 people. That was absolutely insane. But we knew it was going to be a big crowd because it was Portman Road, it was a final, it was all flashy lights, everything. So at a semi-final, it's a bit more, I reckon there'll be maybe like 150. So when we heard there was about 350 people there, it's amazing. And you feel proud to be involved in the female sport, especially when it's now on the up, because you go from playing in front of, 20 people on a Sunday, who a majority are just parents coming to support their girls or like partners and stuff. To then going to a semi-final, and then all of a sudden there's 350 people there. It's massive, and it does make you nervous when you're playing against them. Yeah.
It was funny because there's a different level of excitement in the crowd watching football, like girls' football. That's one of the main things I commented on with my mate who I see at most Stowe games, who was there.
Yeah.
And, the girls proper get each other's backs and stuff. In the men's game, if you fall over, hurt yourself, whatever, you're normally sworn at and told to get back up. But the support and that all the girls got for each other was pretty phenomenal.
I think that's when there's a saying that I like to say, we just play football. We don't play female football. There isn't anything. There's no such thing as men's football. It's just football. But yes, the way the game is played, it is very different. Females are more supportive of each other on the pitch. If like I agree, if a male does a really bad pass, their teammate are probably going to swear at them and go, what was that? Whereas with the girls, they're a bit more encouragement. They encourage each other a bit more, and they want each other to do well. They thrive off that, and I think that's what makes, and especially I see it with Needham. That's what makes the team so special, is because they all thrive off each other doing well. It's not an individual thing.
Yeah.
So, do you think then, with what ultimately we're trying to get to, is the fact that more women come into the men's game as well as growing the women's game? Do you think then, with the more coaches that we start to see being involved, and hopefully the men's game will get to a point where there are more female coaches and stuff like that, do you think that we will start to see a bit of a change then? Because ultimately, what I want to be able to see, I don't want to see players moaning at each other like we do most Saturdays. I want to be able to see that kind of thing. Do you think that potentially that could start to happen? Maybe
it will take a while.
Yeah.
Especially, I think and I don't want anyone to take any disrespect, but I think it will take a while, especially for men to start to be more encouraging to each other on the pitch. It's very different way of playing. But I think the more females who get involved in the game, it will show the men involved, especially in the women's game, just how different we are. We can play the same sport, but we need to be treated slightly different. And that's an ongoing thing that I have. Obviously, our head coach is male. We have different opinions on things, but that's why we work really well, because although technically, like with tactics and stuff, he's more minded with that, and we'll bounce off each other and share our ideas and our tactics. But I'm the one that will portray that in talking to the girls, because I know how, especially if unfortunately I'm going to have to let a player down because maybe they've not been performing, and we're having to step someone else up, instead of just going, you've not been playing great, you're not going to be starting, blah blah blah, or something. You put it in a sense where you're doing it for the better of the team. You don't it's not about, female football isn't about saying you're not good enough, or you're better, you're not good, blah blah blah. It's more about actually developing players, explaining, okay, maybe why we've put that player there instead of just leaving a massive gap and just going, yeah, we're going to start this player and not you, which I know happens in a lot of men's football, and they have to get on with it.
Yeah, definitely. What I would like to see more of is more female, as Adam briefly touched on there, more female officials in our game, because I think the difference that the respect that would be then driven towards officials would dramatically increase, because I think you see that from I can't remember the lady's name, the female official who's in the men's game. I can't remember what her name is now. Name escapes me, but you see the difference in reaction that she gets when she makes a decision to what a male linesman would have.
You see it in step 5, James.
Sorry?
There's a female official that operates within step 5, and every game that she has is completely different to any that get refereed by males, because there is a much higher level of regard. And it shouldn't be like that, really. To be honest.
You're right. There shouldn't be a difference in the way players are treating a referee differently just because of their gender. I think maybe they need to take from that, okay, if we're going to be more respectful because she's a female official, why aren't we being more respectful for our male officials?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be different, in my opinion.
The relationships on the pitch between the players and referees this season, at times, some of the stuff I've seen has been pretty poor, to say the least. And I think that's an area of the game that the FA really need to look at. Because the whole integrity of any match can quickly get ruined, and the level of respect in the game that I came to, There was never a decision argued with.
No.
Everything was just taken for what it was. If a booking came out, do you know what I mean? And there was some big challenges going. Whistle got blown. If you're injured, fair enough. But otherwise, I just saw everyone get up and get on with the game.
Yeah, but you see that in, like, you know, for example, like the rugby. Why is it that the officials are so respected within that game, and all other sports as well, like American football? It's very rare that you ever see a bloke kick off, like truly kick off with an official. So why is it that it's making me think? Why is it that only in the men's game is it seen as such a bad level?
But then that's why then sin bins have been forced in.
Are you trying to trigger me?
But like my opinion on them is that I think they need to. For me, it's all about tolerance levels, and I think you've probably seen my Twitter, and I've sparked a discussion, and I had a lot of responses. But I was frustrated after a game because one of our players got sin binned. When actually, if you look at the rules of dissent and what you need to do to receive a sin bin, wasn't at all.
So I've been at a game this season, and I can't say where, but I was doing some filming, and with that I went into the centre circle to film the handshakes. And I clearly heard the referee say, just control everyone because I don't really want to be sorting out any of that sin bin lark today.
Wow.
Oh, no.
That just says all for the rule, really, doesn't it? That just says it all.
Yeah, some refs take it really seriously, and they'll dish out sin bins like they dish out cake, and then other refs will just completely dismiss the use of sin bins and go, actually, no, I can't bother. So there's no consistency with them, unfortunately.
It's difficult though, isn't it? Because that's when we're getting figures come through about how much the use of sin bins has reduced dissent in the game. And I have little faith in the accuracy of those figures because now what we're seeing is dissent that goes completely unpunished. And that's because the FA, I don't think it's not fault of the referees, but I don't think they know that it's not clear enough when they should act and how they should act. And that makes it difficult across all levels.
Yeah, we've seen sin bins have been dished out where like both sides, so not only just us, but who we're playing against as well, have gone, that wasn't a sin bin. But then there's another incidents where we've gone, well, that definitely was a sin bin, and they've chosen to ignore it. So it's kind of where's the line that they're trying to draw here, because we have no idea, and how are the players supposed to know? And I know people turn around and go, well, they shouldn't be giving dissent anyway, but going, oh, ref, come on, that's not their throw or something. That's not a sin bin.
No.
You're showing frustration and you're passionate about the game.
Like if that's sin bin and people are getting punished for stuff like that, then you're never ever going to have any more than 5 players on a pitch at any one time from stuff I've seen this season.
No, exactly.
We could talk about sin bins all day. Well, myself and Adam have talked about sin bins for quite a lot on this.
It should be just called the Sin Bin Podcast.
Yeah, it should be, shouldn't it? There's
yeah. I'll delete non-league Nosh tonight.
Yeah, we'll rename it as getting a rebrand.
So my brand book.
Yeah, I saw that go up today. Nice little plug that you've crept in there, but yeah.
So I want to talk about your experiences as a manager and how you have found things, because we talk about the movements that you've got going on, the We Are campaigns, and you're wanting to get more people involved in the game, etc. So from your perspective as being a manager now, how have you found it? What kind of things have you found, let's say, difficult that you weren't maybe anticipating before you began, or has it been easier than you maybe have thought?
It's been a mixed bag. I definitely enjoy it. I absolutely love being a manager. People always ask me the question, well, do you not miss playing? Yes, I do. But you definitely get a different level of passion, I think, if that's the right word, and a different love for the game when you're managing. For me now, it's all about, when we win a game, it's all about seeing the girls and how happy they are as a team and as a unit. And you think, I'm part of that. I'm leading that, and that gives you a whole different level of achievement within yourself as well. And But being a manager, I've learned a lot, and not only about management itself, but I've also learned a lot about myself. I've had times where I've been smiling from ear to ear. I've had times where I've just wanted to cry because things aren't going right, or I've had to let a player down, or do you know what I mean? It's
So what's been the toughest kind of moments where you just thought, oh, do you know what, is this really worth it? Has there been any kind of moment like that at this, at this point?
the hardest moment for me was when we started last year and we reached both the finals, County Cup and and league final, and we had a squad of, I think I had about 28 players. Because we'd reached both finals, I wanted to make sure each and every one of those 28 players got to play in one or both finals. I didn't want any player to be completely left out of either squad. So the hardest decision for me, because obviously everyone wants to play at Portman Road, it's a dream and it's something that might only happen once in your lifetime. So the hardest thing for me was deciding who was going to be playing under the lights of Portman Road. That was a huge thing, and a lot of the girls who obviously did get picked to be in that squad were upset. And I completely understand that. I'd be upset if I worked hard all season to help them reach that and then be told, actually, you're not going to be playing at Portman Road. But then a lot of them come round, and like I said, we're a massive unit, and you're pissed off for a couple of days, and then you go, actually, no, I'm still in a final. I'm still in one of the squads. Now let's go in that one. So the hardest thing for me was telling the squads for the finals, because that's a massive thing to play at Portman Road, and it broke my heart to tell some of the girls that they weren't going to be there. But I tried making it. I tried making them include as much as possible, and I got them to be able to be in the change rooms with us. I got them out to warm up, so I had all 28 of them warming up before the game. So they could at least be on the pitch and they could feel what it was like in front of the crowd and everything. But as soon as final whistle blew, they had to sit in the stands, so they couldn't be in the dugout. So I did try my best to have them all involved, but that was definitely the hardest thing for me.
Wow. So how have you found the path into management? Have you gone on any of the courses that are available for that? What kind of levels are you at the moment? And I suppose, what really are your aspirations? What are you thinking bigger than Suffolk in terms of clubs to manage? Or is that a goal, or where do you see yourself really?
My aim, and so basically I kind of fell into management. I was a player manager at the start of last season. I got injured pre-season, bit annoying, but then that kind of like pushed my hand to just be management and not be a player, because also I think player management doesn't really work.
So it was quite a severe injury, was it, or is it just one that was like it sidelined you for a period of time, forced you into management, and you thought, actually I kind of prefer management?
It did take me out for a season. I managed to get a few minutes under my belt last season when we had low players, few injuries and stuff. It was definitely an injury which I couldn't participate in a game for more than about 20 minutes because it would just start playing up again, even with the physio and stuff. So it was an injury that kind of forced me into management, but I'm glad it did, because I do enjoy it.
Did you try and make a like sneaky return this season in goal or something? I saw.
Yeah. I had. So that's the best thing. I didn't have to run too much when I was in goal, so I can last. But unfortunately, our keeper got injured, and there was no one else that really wanted to go in goal. And I'm signed anyway, so I was like, fine, I'll do it. And so I had I think it was 2 games possibly in goal. Loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I actually come off the pitch and said to because I then handed the management reins to Warren, our coach, whilst I was in goal, because I didn't want to manage. If I was playing, I was playing. I didn't want to be involved in any management decisions. And then when I come off the pitch, I said to him, I was like, how would you feel if I trained to be a keeper? And he laughed at me and just said, go get changed. And that was the end of the conversation. So I did try and make an appearance back, but it didn't last too long.
So going back to your kind of, as I said, how far have you gone along the coaching?
I'm actually only a level 1.
Okay.
I did that at the start of last season. So I was originally at Cobblestone FC.
Yep.
All got a little bit out of hand with the women's division there. It's all good now, and they've got a really good setup, and I'm really glad for them. But that was an appropriate time for me to leave. Needham headhunted me and said, "We want to set up a women's division. Will you be manager?" And I jumped on that opportunity. So they put me through my level 1. And I'd really like to get on my level 2 and do possibly my B license as well. But when you're working full time, a lot of the courses are during the day and weekdays. So that would mean me having to take holiday from my full-time job, which obviously you don't get much holiday anyway during a year, to take these courses. So for me, like I'd like to be at least level 2 by now, but I'm not. I'm only level 1, purely because I can't get the time off work to complete the courses. And I think that's something, especially with maybe, well, not just in female football, but in general, maybe that's something that the FA need to think about, is the courses. And yes, you have the argument that, well, if you just do it on a weekend, it's going to take longer. But unfortunately, some people can't afford to take time off work.
Do you know, if the FA wanted to make money right now and they actually had any ounce of common sense, they would open up the courses now and offer distance learning at this time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you need to be sat. I know, like, obviously, I haven't sat my level 2 or my B. I know it's a lot more in depth than your level 1. Your level 1, you've kind of got to have no idea about football to not pass your level 1. I think when obviously I sat my level 1, we sat in a classroom and we had someone at a board going, "This is this is that. You do this, you do that. Right now, let's go and do." You did do outdoor activities when you ran drills and stuff. But I agree. I don't know why they're not offering distance learning, because that's something that I definitely would try to fit into my busy schedule. But if they offered distance learning for level 2, completely agree.
But they could use this time to grow the game, not stall it.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm asking about it is because it's something I'm considering doing, because I want to get more. I'm happy with what I'm doing in terms of like YouTube and the videos and stuff like that. But I'm thinking bigger picture about trying to get involved at football. So that was the kind of reason I was asking, like, how did you find the courses and that kind of stuff like that? But it's interesting to hear.
I loved the course. I thought it was brilliant. When I did it, it was when we had that massive heat wave. So every time we went outside for a drill, like me, I need to only look at the sun and I get burnt. So like it was lovely because most people got a tan. I got burnt. But it was beautiful weather, and I was on an all-female course as well, which was really good because I had mums on the course, I had girls that are younger than me, so there was a real proper mixture of females who were involved in the game, which was great. But the course itself was really insightful, and you learn things which you think you know, but then they do it in a way which you go, oh, actually, yeah, that makes more sense to do it like that, and it does change the way you coach. And that's why I'm really, really keen to do my level 2, but unfortunately I just don't have time.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a difficult balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So aims then, longer term, is it? You may be very, very happy where you are, or do you see yourself in terms of wanting to grow the game as much as you are at the moment? Do you see that you have to potentially move away and look at being higher up in the game in order for that to happen?
Is this in management or
in general? Well, I'll say in management, yeah, really, because obviously if that is the main thing that you are involved in the game, do you feel that your platform and what you're wanting to do, would you have to be at a higher club to continue it growing, or do you think it can be achieved by being it?
My aim, and I said this when I joined Needham, I would love to push Needham Women as high as possible. I don't want to. As long as they'd had me for each season, I'm not going to assume that they want me for the foreseeable.
I think they'd be very daft at this point to even consider getting rid of you. But
I don't see myself, and nor do I want to just go to another team. I really don't. I want to grow Needham. I love the girls I have. I love the staff that are there. I love the mentoring I also receive. Obviously we've got like A-licensed coaches and stuff, and I don't want to dismiss that at all. So for me, I'm very happy at Needham, and I really want to push and see where we can go for the females there.
Yeah, definitely. And then I suppose really to kind of finish on the campaigns that you are doing, and the things that you are talking about with the blogs, the website, and all the promotions that you are doing online. What kind of levels do you want to see that getting to? Obviously, I know you were involved at a Suffolk level, but do you really that the main FA's got to be the ultimate goal, hasn't it? To get to, I would say, wouldn't it?
I think anyone would know that my probably dream job would be developing the game within the FA for women, and also being part of like the marketing and the campaign strategy as well. I feel like there is so much for the FA. They aim so much for the professional game and for female players, but they don't focus on anything to do with grassroots involvement. Like they throw in occasionally the like obviously we've got the Grassroots Hero Awards right now, but there's no, for me there's no real focus on trying to encourage more people, with more females into the game at grassroots. So I'd love to take that to the FA, and I'd love for them to take on We Are and also push it as well.
It sounds like you're doing the right things though to get noticed. Like I know that's obviously not the position yet, but like in terms of getting the job, but it sounds like everything that you're doing is getting you towards that goal.
Yeah, I've had obviously I've had a lot of county FAs who have been very supportive of the campaign. They've been retweeting and like sharing it and everything, which is brilliant, and that's a really good start for an FA county to be able to do that. I've also had some good connections through it. Something like I'm fangirling at the moment is Jill Scott connected with me on LinkedIn, obviously the designer, so I'm like woohoo. So I'll slowly try and aim for her to push it as well, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm not going to say what, and I'm not going to jinx anything, but hopefully there's going to be some really exciting news in the upcoming weeks with my campaign as well. So.
Oh, good.
That's awesome to hear.
Well, I wish you all the best with everything, especially at the moment, because I know it's obviously testing times for everybody. But as I said, sometimes, and we don't want it to happen, where the women's game has made so much progress recently. We just don't want to see all of that progress completely go to waste because of everything that is happening. So, as long as people like yourself keep doing what you're doing and keep fighting for it, I'm sure that it will pay off in the long term. So keep it up. You're doing it. I think I speak on behalf of everyone, including now, and you're doing an amazing job. So well done.
Yeah, I mean, for us and probably the listeners as well, like the growth and everything that you're doing to help support things is ultimately providing us with more football and more accessibility to the game, but also providing a platform to get ladies involved that they possibly didn't have as much on a local level not that long ago. Girls could play football, but the teams were not freely available. So I think it's amazing what you're doing and the support that you're showing.
I really appreciate it, guys. Cheers.
Yeah, and from my perspective, obviously from an educational point of view, it's been I need to start doing more, and I'll hold my hands up and freely admit that I need to start looking into things a bit more. And just having this conversation with you, and when we were on the East Anglian Daily Times podcast as well,
seems so long ago.
Yeah, that really opened my eyes. I couldn't believe my lack of knowledge. So I encourage everyone who is out there to look into it as much as you can. And I suppose really from any females that are listening to this and you want to get involved, opportunities are there. You've just got to start looking for it. You've got to openly find it. But anyone will take you on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly why I started the careers page on my website, because you've got websites like Women in Football who offer career opportunities or volunteering opportunities for the Super League teams, so like your Chelsea and your Arsenal and that. But there's no platform to offer career opportunities or volunteering opportunities at grassroots level. So that's why I wanted to give local grassroots teams a hub to be able to say we're looking for a female coach or we're looking for a manager or anything. So that's why it's on my website, and hopefully more people will start looking at that and going, oh, actually, so-and-so, this club are looking for this, and I've got my level 1, so I'm going to email them and see if they want me as a coach. And it's all things like that. It's word of mouth, and I've got 3 vacancies on there at the moment, so fingers crossed that they'll find someone.
Well, there you go. If you're looking for a role, there's 3 available. Go and check it out. I'll put links for all of your stuff in the description. So if you are interested, guys, just click on any of those links and they will take you over to the sites. But again, thank you very much, Freya, for coming on. Really, really appreciate your time.
Yep.
And
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
Good.
Glad. Hopefully, some of our questions haven't been too. I was worried about some of the things I was asking, specifically, about Needham, but you dodged some of them quite well. So well done.
Studio trained. That's what I like to call myself.
And again, if you want to get involved in the tea conversation, let us know in the comments, all that kind of good stuff. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Really appreciate it. And until next time, as always, adios.